Good evening, everybody. I'm still here. I'm still in the land of living, if you can believe that. I'll give you guys, I know this was another impromptu meeting, but I have another meeting, and I wanted to make sure I got on here and gave you guys some quick updates. I have a peppermint in my mouth. I'm just a few days out of a crazy sickness. Um, that I'll tell you guys about here in a minute. I hope you all are getting the notifications. If you're not, make sure you check your notification bell to make sure you're still um, subscribed to the channel. And also make sure you check in the chat box so that I'll know where you're signaling from and say hello in the chat. Anyway, thank you, whoever that is. I had been really sick for almost 2 weeks. And let me tell you something, it was no picnic. It was not fun. And I'm still just a little bit croupy. Hi, Juanita. Birmingham, Alabama in the house. Good to see you. Not that I can see you, but you know what I mean. So let me tell you guys, whatever this flu thing or who knows, don't even get, I see, I'm already getting started. Who knows what sicknesses are running through the country now, being as though they can just come in without any medical whatever. Anyway, um, I was sick as a dog for almost 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. Had to cancel some appointments and that I had out of town and business meetings and then, oh my gosh, it was awful. Let me tell you, I was kind of okay, a little bit run down because I had been really busy and I had a dental appointment. So I went to the dentist on a Thursday and just went through the regular thing. My dentist is a very withdrawn kind of a guy. I have a way of breaking people out of their shell. So over the last year and a half or so, he's come to feel a little bit more relaxed with me. Anyway, he came into the room and said, "Hi, what are we doing today?" And I told him this is what we plan to do. He says, "Okay." Looks at the charts and the X-rays and all that. And so he started the prep work. The nurse has started the prep work, putting in the numbing agent. And then the doctor went ahead and gave me the injection for the Novocaine to numb my gum. And when he left the room, the dental assistant started coughing. Now she had on a mask, right? But still, masks do not protect you from viruses. Viruses are too small. Anyway, she started coughing. And she wasn't coughing in my face. She turned away and she was coughing into her sleeve. But she started coughing. And it was a kind of a deep guttural kind of cough. And I'm laying there, I'm laying there like this with a numb face, thinking, oh, maybe I should leave. I should have left. I didn't leave. It probably was too late by then because my appointment was like in the afternoon. And of course, she had been there all day, coughing in that room, I guess. But anyway, oh my God. 2 days later, I was sick as a dog. I mean, now I had that H1N1 thing several years back that I had never been sick like that. It was something weird. I didn't know what it was. And as soon as I got back to Canada, my husband and I went to the doctor. we quarantined ourselves. This was several years ago because it was so bizarre. The symptoms and everything was so bizarre. I had a fever that would not quit for almost 2 weeks. It was awful. And we had to travel by car back to Canada. And I was scared to death we wasn't going to be able to get across the border because both of us were so sick. And When we left, my husband wasn't sick, but then a day into the trip, maybe two, he got sick. And we had another 3 days to go to get back to Canada. And I thought, oh, Lord. So I said, we need to pull over and just, you know, be ready to stay in a hotel indefinitely until we're well enough to travel. That's how bad it was. So this was different. The symptoms were different. It was different. I don't know what this flu thing is or whatever this thing is that's running around the globe now, but let me tell you something. I could not lay flat in my bed to sleep for almost 2 weeks. I had to sleep sitting up on 4 pillows, or I felt like I was drowning. Or I would try to lay down and I'd sit up straight up in the bed and have to get on the side of the bed, and I was gasping for air. I could not get enough air. And I'm thinking, what is going on? So then I started hearing about other people that were coming now with these strange pneumonias, and then all this stuff that was happening in China with this white lung stuff. And of course, we have lots of Chinese nationals coming through our border and doing all that. I'm thinking, oh my God. And I don't know where that dental assistant had been. I don't know who she had been around. I don't know who had been in that room. But whatever was in there attached itself to me. And I got desperately ill. I had fever for I don't know how many days. Um, I think 4 or 5 days went by. I didn't even come out of my bedroom. I had fever. I couldn't eat. I couldn't, if I tried to eat, I vomited. It was awful. And I did not have diarrhea, thank God, because I've been sick like that too. But I did not have diarrhea, but I was sick. I had a fever that was running like 102 and something, and it wouldn't go away. It would not go away. And so, thank God for prayer, first of all. First of all, because I didn't know what to do. I'll tell you what, when I came out of it, I had lost 10 pounds. Now, I do not recommend that for a weight loss program, but now I'm trying to keep that off. But I lost 10 pounds, and I didn't even know I'd lost 10 pounds until I got on the scale one day. I was like, oh, looks like I lost 10 pounds. Um, it was rough. It was rough. But I want to tell you what I did when I started. I think 4 days went by, 4 or 5 days went by, and I thought, I do not listen. I'm in my 60s. I don't need pneumonia. Okay. I don't need, let me tell you what I don't need. I don't need to fall. I don't need no bad colds. And I don't need to break no bones. Okay. None of that. I don't need none of that. When I was in my 20s, I can handle it. 30s, I can handle it. 40s, getting questionable. 50s, 60s, no. I don't need none of that. So, anyhow, so I went online when I was able to regather myself to find out what is this and what do I need to do, because I was concerned that I was developing some kind of pneumonia, and I have a phobia. Ever since the 3 years ago, and I saw what some of these doctors were doing, prescribing medications and doing all kinds of medical practices that they knew would kill their patients. I kind of got a phobia about hospitals. I'm just saying, ain't nobody there except dead people, people that's trying to kill people, and sick people. That's really how I see it. So I kind of got a phobia about hospitals. That ain't saying that everybody in there is bad, but you don't know who. So, yeah, that's going to be a last resort for me. Anyway, I decided when I was able, um, well enough to sit up and get on my computer or my phone and find out what to do about this, because this was a weird uh it was a weird cough. It was a very strange cough. I don't want to get, because some of y'all would get grossed out. Okay, I don't want to gross you out, but I want to say this to you in case you have this or experience this. I looked up, different types of productive coughs, right? And it's just like if you have a head cold, you have a chest cold, and you're coughing up the sickness. It can be different colors, and different colors mean different things. Green or yellow usually means a bacterial infection. Uh, Lots of water or white and foamy usually means a viral infection. This was white and foamy and liquid, lots of liquid coming out of my lungs. And I thought this happened with the H1N1 thing, but this was different. So I went online and I started trying to research when I could stay awake long enough to find out what do I need to do. And I consulted with some of these naturopath doctors that I had been following for a while. And of course, before I had told you all, when you get sick, when I get sick, I'll do something. I have something that I keep on hand. It's called mullein, Mullein. I think that's how you spell it, mullein. It's an herb, and I buy it organic. And what it does is it's an anti-spasmodic, right? Because I was coughing, coughing. I could not sleep because I would get into these coughing fits, like spasms, and I couldn't stop coughing. And so I just made like, or my husband made like a half a gallon of this mullein. And really, it doesn't take very much at all for me. I take like a little juice glass and drink half of the juice glass, about, I guess, 3 ounces. And it would silence the cough for a good 6, 7 hours, 5 or 6 hours. I wouldn't have those spasms where I would just suddenly start barking and coughing like that. But the cough, when I did cough, it was still deep and it was still weird. And I'm thinking, what is this? So, and then I got to where I would start, when I would take a breath or try to take a breath, I'd break out in a spasmodic cough. And then I could feel in my back, your lungs are back here, they're not up here. And I would feel in my back like this rumbling, um, like a rattling way down, like it was in the bottom part of my lungs. And I thought, oh my God. So I looked that up, and this other doctor mentioned about thyme. You have it in your kitchen, probably. THYME, thyme. And he said, if you can tolerate it, take a quarter teaspoon of thyme and chew on it. Now, I told you guys this before, right? But I'm telling you, I'm just getting over this. That's how long it's been. I'm just getting over this. Take a quarter teaspoon, chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it, chase it with some water. I couldn't handle it. It was so bitter. So then I checked again. Can I mix it with mullein and can I use it as a tea? And yes, you can. And so after I did that, then my coughs became more productive and my lungs started clearing out. Well, somewhere in the middle of that, I had a doctor's appointment, and I told her what had been happening, and she thought that it was some kind of a holdover from COVID when I had COVID like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And so she wanted to do a chest x-ray, check my lungs, and she named something. Here's the thing. It didn't feel like it was in here. It felt like it was in here somewhere. It was weird. Anyway, my chest x-rays were fine. Thank God for that. They were clear. And by then the cough was at a minimum. But I'm telling you guys, listen, there was a recall during this time on over the counter cough medicines. How bizarre is that? Right in the middle of the mainstream media coming out talking about this white lung stuff and all these different flus and it being flu season, they do a recall on over the counter medication. Now, that's either strategically cruel on our government's part, on our Food and Drug Administration's part, or something very suspicious is going on where we get our medicine from, which is China and India. At any rate, this is why I stress to you guys that you need to be more vigilant about taking care of yourself and finding out what natural remedies you can do, as an alternate to an over the counter pharmaceutical. You don't know what these people are doing with this medicine. We're in a war with all kinds of countries over all kinds of issues. There's not a segment of our society that has not been affected by what is going on around the world. Our food has been attacked. Our education has been attacked. Our healthcare has been attacked. Now they're talking about banning backyard farms, gardens, saying that backyard gardens create a larger carbon footprint than a commercial farm. Now, let that hit you. You have a backyard. Let's just say you have a backyard that's, I don't know, 60 feet, 60 feet wide, right? 120 feet long. And you have 2 or 3 garden beds, and they're trying to convince you that the tomatoes that you're growing, or the collard greens that you're growing, or the lettuce that you're growing is more harmful to the environment than acres and acres and acres of farmland that's being used. Just listen, don't send your food back. And all these food recalls and all, listen, y'all are a little better by now, especially if you've been on this channel for a while. So anyhow, I just wanted to tell you that's what I used. I used thyme and I used mullein, and it got me through that. And I also for the fever, I was using aspirin or Tylenol. Now I don't do those things unless I feel like I have to, or unless I feel like what I have isn't quite strong enough. I usually use white willow bark, which is aspirin, but I needed something a little bit stronger. And because, excuse me, I practice what's called folk medicine, I don't have a machine that can measure exactly what's in each capsule that I fill up, right? Because I make my own. I don't make my own capsules, but I fill my own capsules, and I know what each capsule is supposed to hold, but it also depends on the size of the particles that you're putting in the capsule. So there's no way to measure the exact potency of a medication that you may be capsulizing yourself, right? So I just want to say that if you're thinking about moving more closely into folk medicine. So the other thing is, I've been watching what's been happening with the banks. Now, we've had this conversation before about the banks, and I've always encouraged you guys to make sure you have access to what is yours. If you don't hold it, you don't own it, folks. They can take it. Hey, Constitutional Stacker, how you doing? If you don't hold it, you don't own it. There's a lady by the name of Lynette Zhang who has a business, and she also has videos that she does on YouTube that I would encourage you to watch. I've talked to her office a couple of times. I don't do business with them, but I have talked to their office a couple of times and kind of got an idea of what they're about. And they're really into educating people on how to protect their wealth and all that. And there's a lot of people on YouTube that are doing that and trying to help the general public about their money and stuff. But I'm gonna tell you something. Something is going on with these banks. I've been telling y'all for 3 years, and I think what happened last year, year before last, with all the bank runs and all that, everything quieted down. See, the powers that be have a way of distracting people from what's really important. So they'll start a little fire over here, or the mainstream media will report on a little fire over here because they know the average person will jump and say, oh, look at that, or oh, look at that, or oh, look at that. Meanwhile, they're practicing sleight of hand. They're over here doing this while you're over here looking stargazing, looking at this, right? And the banks are failing. And I'm telling you, listen, I know some people will not agree with this. I don't care. I'll tell you this. I'm doing what I can to protect my assets. All right. I am doing what I can to protect my assets, and I want to encourage you to do the same thing. Talk to people. The Constitutional Stackers on here, he'd be happy to talk to you. Talk to him. Go to his channel. It's Constitutional Stacker. Go to his channel. Go to Lynette Zhang's channel. Go to different ones' channel. And see what they're talking about. Just check them out and see what they're talking about. See, what are they doing to protect their assets? What are they doing to protect their wealth? Because Some of us ain't going out like that, okay? We work too hard for what we have. And listen, even if you didn't work hard for it, even if you came into some kind of a golden goose where you had a relative that just left you a butt ton of money, you don't want to lose that. You don't want to just give it up to some government who cares nothing about you. Okay. I mean, they are already stealing from you, right? And giving other people stuff that they won't even give you. But anyhow, you don't hold it, folks. You don't own it. Chase Bank is in trouble. Chase Bank is I saw a report the other day. I don't know, it was yesterday, day before yesterday, where people's none of the ATMs, and I can't remember exactly where this was. I should have made a note of it. But none of the ATMs in that particular city worked when it came to Chase Bank. They someone went into a lobby and wanted to cash their paycheck, and the bank would not cash their check. And they said the check is good. It's from my employer. There's nothing wrong with the check. It wasn't that anything was wrong with the check, is that the bank didn't have any cash. And they told the guy that we have no cash. We don't have any. Look, what bank got? Anyway, see, I told you. I told you. I told you. I've been telling you. Y'all better listen. It's amazing to me how many people can sit back, see what's going on, know that it's screwed up, and still won't do anything. They'll watch channels like mine. They'll watch channels like other people, and they'll sit there. They'll look at it and they'll say, "Wow, isn't that something?" And they still won't do anything. You cannot help a person like that. You know why they're not doing anything? It's not that they don't know what to do, because if they sat there and they watched my channel or they watched somebody else's channel who's talking about this same stuff, and we're trying to tell you guys, we're trying to help you and tell you you need to prepare. Listen, this train is running right off the track, and there's nothing that we can do about it except protect ourselves and our families and our assets the best way we possibly can. Okay? That's what we have to do. You can't fix this crazy government. You have to, you better look after yourself, your family, your friends as best you can, the ones that got some common sense. But you can't waste a lot of time talking to people who tell you they see what's going on, who tell you they know they need to do something, but they won't do it. And they know what they need to do, because if they watch this channel or they watch your channel or they watch somebody else's channel that's talking about this, we're telling you what you need to do. So don't tell me, don't try to gaslight me and tell me you don't know what to do. No, you just don't want to do anything. That's all. And that's fine. That's your business. If you don't want to do nothing, starve. God bless you. That's all I can tell you. So anyhow, for the rest of us, yeah, we're gonna try to make it through this to the end. Now, Lord have mercy. Hello, everybody that I didn't get a chance to say hi to because I was already losing it. All right. So let me read some of these comments. Hi, Carolyn. Constitutional Stacker says, I love when Zhang using the money machine. Yeah. Yeah, she's got this money machine she uses. Listen, I'm telling you guys, go to her channel because she makes it real plain. Now she does have some videos you're like, unless you're like into numbers or you understand the graphs and all that kind of stuff, you'd be like, where's she Jay? But she has some on there that are just very plain. If I got it and I suck at math, I hate math. Okay. If I got it, anybody can get it. Okay. Now, Constitutional Stacker says, I know a guy that has his whole life savings in a BOA. Oh, Lord, Bank of America. Accounting paying less than 1%. He never listens to me. He is the simple Sims. Very weak man, and I have nothing for him. Yeah. What can you do? What can you do? Listen, I have a family member that swears by Bank of America. Listen, any banks that stay in the news that much because of fraud and opening all these fraudulent bank accounts and taking people's money, not paying anything or anything like that. Listen, folks, listen, find a credit union, find somewhere else. All right. I personally, no, I'm not doing Bank of America. I ain't doing Citibank, Citigroup. I ain't doing Chase. Definitely ain't doing Wells Fargo. I'm not doing any of those big banks. You know what they're doing? They are allowing the markets to crush these smaller banks so they can go in and gobble them up and take all their assets. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. Now, I ain't the brightest bulb in the room, but I can see what they're doing. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, yeah. Wealthfront is paying me 5%. Had them for years, all free. Good for you. Yeah, we're with an institution. We're actually with a credit union where I think they're paying us like 5%, something like that. It's yeah. Listen, y'all, you have got to, because while they're trying to distract you with all their hate for Putin and Trump and Biden and all this kind of stuff, they are screwing with the money. They're messing with the money. They are literally trying to collapse this country. And they are telling people who are dumb enough to believe it that the border is secure. You can listen, let me tell you the mindset of people that we're dealing with. They can sit in front of their computer or their television, watch the video of thousands of people coming across the border, listen to Jean Pierre, whatever her name is, get on the national mic and lie and say that the border is secure and that Trump's a racist because he wanted to he wanted to close the border. Meanwhile, they're kicking the children out of their schools, making them do distance learning so that people who are coming in illegally can be housed in the school buildings because they wanted to be a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state. And now they want to cry and whine and moan about what it's costing them. Well, it ain't costing them nothing. It's costing the taxpayers. That's who it's costing. Taxpayers' children can't go to school, can't get a decent education. They have to do it from their homes as if they're still locked down because people who can't speak the language, who don't care anything about speaking our language, they just want to suck off our country until they absolutely collapse it. Listen, you might think I'm cruel. I am not cruel. Okay. Listen, you're talking to somebody that immigrated to another country. My husband is an immigrant to this country. We went through the process on both times, on both ends. Okay. It can be expensive, it can be lengthy, it can be challenging, especially when you do your interviews and stuff, when they practically ask you, are you a terrorist? And you're like, what? You got to go through these physical exams, all this stuff. There is a process in place, y'all. There's a process in place, and it'll work if you work the process. It'll work. It might take some time depending on what country you're coming from. They may have additional questions for you. If you're coming from a country that has been proven to be hostile toward our nation, I happened to be immigrating to Canada at the time. This was, like 15 years ago, 14, 15 years ago. And matter of fact, my immigration status with them, I let it expire last month because I have no intention of returning. To me, that country has almost fallen, and I got enough problems in my own country. I did not give up my citizenship. My husband gave up his citizenship because the country was falling. He knew it. I knew it. We got out. There you go. I would rather come back to my country where the people are willing to fight for liberty than to remain in a country where the people's whole focus, it was bizarre. Their whole focus was what was going on down here with Donald Trump. Meanwhile, their country was being stolen right out from under them, and they didn't care nothing about that. It was all Trump's a racist. Trump's a racist. We want 4 more years of Barack Obama. And I'm thinking, you do realize you're Canadian, right? You realize that the United States is not your country. You better be paying attention to what's going on here. And we couldn't get through to them. I'm like, time to go. So we left. We left. Um, I tell you, there is a lot going on. I'm not trying to downplay the things that are happening. Um, there's a lot to be said about a lot of things that are happening. I could zero in on a particular topic and be on here for a long time talking about that particular topic. Um, the pedophilia and all the stuff that's being pushed in our school in the name of you know, diversity being our strength and all this kind of stuff. Well, there's nothing wrong with being diverse. There is something wrong with being perverse, okay? And they try to conflate the two. So especially when it comes to our children. There's a lot going on, y'all. There's a lot going on, and you've got to be able to navigate these waters, keep your head on straight, make sure you're aware of what's happening, and keep taking care of yourself and your family. Do what you have to do and shut your mouth about it. Because now we're at a time where I don't know in my lifetime where this country has ever been in this much danger. I mean, it's literally dangerous. The streets are dangerous. You know, now where I am, I'm in a red state, right? I'm in a red state. We got two blue cities that they're losing their minds. They're crazy. Um, Tulsa and Oklahoma City are just, they're losing their minds. Where I am is, I don't know if it's red, might be purple, but it's more red than blue, that's for sure. But anyhow, um, there's a lot going on. But if you're living in one of these blue states, or you're living in a blue county or something like that, you have to be very careful about who you're talking to and what you're talking to them about. Because if that is the overwhelming mindset of the county that you're in or the city that you're in, you have very, very few people that you can trust. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't care if they look you in the face and smile and tell you they agree with what you're saying. If you are involved in politics like I am as an elected official in my state, uh, I've seen people. It's bizarre. You don't know how bad it is until you get into it, right? Being on the outside, being a voter, unless you're really, really engaged in the process of what's going on, you don't know the half of it. I'm telling you, I've been here for 32 years. I did not know that things were this bad at the core of things in what is supposed to be a conservative party. I just, it's stunning. It is absolutely stunning. And I would be none the wiser if I had not been elected to the office I've been elected to, and I have to go to these different meetings and things and see the, I don't know what to call it, the wolfery, the wolves in sheep's clothing that will stand right next to you and vote against your constitutional rights. I'm telling you, we got communists in our party. Okay, they will vote against your rights as if somehow they're going to have a separate Bill of Rights. I mean, it is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. They don't want anything that you want. They, and they'll sit on boards with you. They'll be an officer right next to you. It's amazing. It is absolutely stunning. And so if it's that bad in a red state, what I'm saying to you is, if you're in a blue state, a blue county, a blue city, shut your mouth. Do what you need to do and shut your mouth, because you have very few people you can trust. Very few. And you don't want them to one day get a wild hair up their butt and decide they're going to run siege on your house. Okay? Just shut up. Shut your mouth. Keep doing what you need to do. Talk to people that are doing what you're doing, not people that aren't doing what you're doing. Talk to people that are doing what you're doing, because they have just as much to lose, right? And even then, don't tell them everything, because you don't know what kind of pressure they can or cannot handle, right? You don't know. So, anyhow, what was the other thing I wanted to tell you all about? I tried to jot down some things. Um, Now, if you've been paying attention to the stores, right, you still see that I've been hearing a lot of reports and reading a lot of reports of different shortages in different places, Pennsylvania, different states. I'm telling you, and a lot of them are blue states where this stuff is happening. It is happening in some of the red states. Um, I was talking to a lady the other day. She's in Texas, and she says everything's pretty quiet here. The stores seem to be okay and all this. Okay, that good right now. Right now, because if there are supply chain issues and there are distribution issues, there are employment issues, you have all these different things. It's like a snowball effect, right? It has to affect the economy. It's going to affect the store near you. And here's another thing: if you live like in a rural area and you have maybe one store within 10 miles, like, right now I'm in my RV, right? There is no grocery store for 10 miles. There ain't no store for 10 miles. I mean, there's a gas station, but there is nothing for 10 miles. If that store goes out of business, it will be a food desert here. We'd have to go another hour to a major city or cross the line and go into Texas to get food. Okay? So if you live in a place like that, you need to make sure that you have extra this, extra that, and extra the other, because you don't know what's going to happen. We've already been subjected to the freaky storms, the freaky weather patterns, and things like that can happen. There was a little town that was up in the mountains. They got more snow than they had ever seen. It collapsed the roof on the only grocery store that they had. It's the only one they had. There were no more stores anywhere around for like 2 hours drive. That was the only store. And they got so much snow, it collapsed the roof of the grocery store. So the power was out, everything was out. It was cold, and I'm sure some of the food lasted for some time because it was so cold, right? But you couldn't get in the store to get it. It was too dangerous. The building was collapsing. So what did those people do about food? Well, who knows? I hope they had something stored away. This is why you prepare, folks. This is why you try to keep extra, whether it's cash, whether it's whatever other assets you have, gold or silver, whatever. You have to keep something set aside. Now, who was it? Not the Red Cross. I can't think of who it was. Anyway, they were saying, might have been the Red Cross. Who I don't. Anyway, never mind. I ain't gonna get into the Red Cross. But anyway, they were saying to have. First, they were saying have 3 days extra food. 3 days, really? That's when times were good, and if the power went out, you figured it's gonna be back on within 48 hours, 72 hours. That was then. This is now. Now power goes out in different places with these weird weather patterns, the flooding, and all this crazy stuff going on in California. If you've been looking at that, what? I mean, they have rivers running down the street in California, which is a desert. Okay. Anyway, if you don't have anything set aside and your car is floating down the street, good luck with that. You fixing to go on a perpetual fast, okay, that you did not plan for. Now there's a weight loss program for you right there. You fixing to lose some weight because you didn't set anything aside, because you were watching people like me or watching people like Stacker or watching people like watch the Epic Economist. Go to his channel and he will tell you what's going on with the stores closing, the banks being in trouble. Listen. There are a lot of people that you can watch on YouTube that will educate you and keep you up to date on what is going on, because the mainstream media is controlled by the devil. Okay, that I'm just gonna say it. That's how I see it. I don't watch them; they're crazy. But anyway, when you take the time to listen to people who know what they're talking about, they have their finger on the pulse of society. And let me tell you something. I don't know everything. I just know what I know. Okay. I know what I know. The epic economist, he knows what he knows. Steve Poplar, he knows what he knows. These people know what they know. We are looking around the world. We're not just looking at our country. And I told you guys that before. I'm looking at what's happening in other countries as well, because when it comes to trade, we are so intricately connected that if something is going wrong and awry and off the rails in another country, it's going to trickle to us eventually. And when you have a government that is intentionally trying to destroy your country from the inside out because they've been compromised, either with sexual innuendos or all kinds of other stuff, drug trafficking, child trafficking, human trafficking, all this stuff going on that they're tied up in, that somebody's got pictures of them. They got to play ball. Okay. They're all about protecting their own. So you better get about protecting yours because they ain't thinking about you. So we're looking at all this stuff that's going on around the world. I told you guys last year when India said they were stopping shipment of grain, okay, because they were getting flooded out and all that. They weren't doing any more exports. And we didn't know how long. I told you then, I said, listen, what's on the shelf when it comes to rice, you better go get it. Okay. Because that's all there is, if that's where we're getting it from. India supplies, I think it's 40% of the world with its rice. And then China, India and China, that's who ships out the rice. Okay. So if China's mad at us and India's flooded, that kind of puts a damper on your, your rice and beans. Okay. Go get it now. Go get it now. Whatever you have now, you are way above, way ahead of the curve when it comes to inflation. Whatever you bought a year ago, whatever you stored a year ago or 2 years ago, or whatever you pressure canned or whatever you dehydrated, you are ahead of the curve of those that are saying, well, I guess I better get started. Look at what they have to pay for it now. And you already have it for a fraction of what they have to pay for it now. And this is why I'm saying, if you're living in a blue state or blue city, blue county, keep your mouth shut. These people are going to be struggling to get what they need from the grocery stores, if they can even find it anymore. They can't. People are having trouble getting pet food, for God's sake. Pet food, right? So when you're doing your prepping, don't forget about your pets. They got to eat too. Anyway. Oh. See, this is what happens. I get on here with y'all and y'all make me lose my my husband laughing at me. I always tell myself, okay, just breathe. Don't get upset. Just And then I get on here with y'all and see what happens. This is what happens. Listen, I care about you guys. I really do. And that's why I come on here. I don't come on here every day. Some people, they're on their channel every day. I don't come on here every day. YouTube don't pay me enough. Okay. So I come on here when I get stirred up and I want to check on you guys and see how you doing. And just try to remind you, if you've been following my channel for a while, I've been saying some of these things for a while now. The reason I keep repeating it is because there are new people that come to this channel that may have just stumbled. I may have been the first person that they heard say it. Maybe they've been following CNN or somebody who ain't really talking about this kind of stuff. I had other people tell me, one lady told me she owns her own business and she said, I work all day. I'm up for work at 5 a.m. and I don't leave. Sometimes she owns her own business. And she says, sometimes I don't even leave until 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And I get home, I'm just exhausted. And she says, and if I didn't hear you talking about this, I wouldn't know some of this stuff, because she's not turning on the news, and she's not doing that. She doesn't have time. And so she gets in her bed, she gets on her phone or her computer, she pulls up a channel, my channel, somebody else's channel, and it's like, dang, it's like the world is on fire while she's at her business doing her thing. And if there were not people like us talking about it, she would not know, because the mainstream media, they are like beasts that feed on your ignorance. They want you to be in the dark. so they can keep doing what they're doing without any resistance. So this is an election year. And I'm going to tell you something. If you think that any one person can fix this mess, you're wrong. This has been a slow march off of a very deep ravine into a deep ravine for a lot of years. This is not the work of one person. This is not, and it cannot be fixed by one person. Our justice system is absolutely corrupt. There is no justice, it's just us right now, okay? It is absolutely corrupt. You can see that from what has been happening in the news concerning classified documents. A president has the right to declassify whatever documents he chooses, and he can take them out of the White House when he leaves, as long as they're declassified and it's been annotated that they are declassified. A vice president does not. A secretary of state does not. Nor does anyone have the right, once they've been subpoenaed, to erase 33,000 emails or whatever all else when you've been subpoenaed to submit that stuff. Somehow, two people have not been prosecuted and put in prison for this, and one person is facing 700 and something years for something that they had a legal constitutional right to do. Our justice system is upside down, absolutely upside down. Okay. And I'm telling you, if you think that this government is coming to help you, you're a fool. Okay. I'm sorry. I ain't trying to hurt your feelings. Did I hurt your feelings? Good. Maybe you'll listen. I ain't trying to hurt your feelings, but if I did, good. Maybe you'll listen. They're not coming to help you. They are not coming to help you. I'm trying to help you. Others are probably trying to help you. You better listen. If you're not going to listen, just move on. Just, do nothing. Just do nothing. Just keep making excuses why you don't do anything. Just keep doing that. The rest of us, we're pretty much focused on this is fixing to be a crap show. All right. We have sleeper cells in our country that are waiting for their orders to activate. All right. And I'm speaking to you as a veteran. I know what's happening here. You had better keep your head on a swivel. It is dangerous out there. Don't let the quiet in your community fool you. These people are being bussed in, shipped in, driven in, coming by boat, coming by plane with Nike shoes on and the whole 9 yards, supposedly running from persecution and so poor they can't hardly make it and wearing clothes better than mine. And I've been here my whole life under cover of darkness. It ain't like you necessarily see them coming. It doesn't mean they're not in your community. You're just sleeping when they come in. That's all. You're just asleep at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning when they shuffle them into a hotel, paper over the windows so that you can't see. There were hotels that during the convoy, there were hotels where there was nobody in the hotels except police officers. Okay. Getting ready for the convoy that's in Texas. The hotels booked up. Nobody could get into them. But if you go through the parking lot, I saw the video. You go through the parking lot, there's just police cars there and Fed boys and all that. I'm telling you, they know what's going on. They ain't telling you because they don't want a public panic, because people do get crazy, when they panic. But I'm telling you, listen, you guys, you've got to take this seriously. This is not a game. It's not a game. I told you before, they want you dead. Okay. When they wait till flu season to start pulling medicine off the shelf, when they start telling you that backyard gardening is more dangerous than commercial gardening, and then the precursor to that was telling farmers that they have to cut fertilizer by 30%. What does that mean? That means they get less of a crop yield. That means there ain't too much more food coming to the shelves in the supermarkets. And then they want to start screwing with oil and gas to make it financially impossible for the truckers to even move the food to the store because they can't afford the fuel. All this stuff going on, and you think they care about you? You think they can't do something about this? They can. Housing. I saw an article. A guy was talking about his fiance, and he asked her, listen to this. I mean, this is really something. He asked her, after we get married, where do you think we should live, with your parents or mine? What? Wow. I mean, that's where our economy is right now. They can't afford to live on their own. They can't afford it. Interest rates are too high. The price of housing is too high. They can't afford it. Now they want to blame the boomers, but let me tell you something. You Gen Zers and all you guys out there, let me tell you something. We told you, you better get a skill. Okay? Music ain't a career. It ain't going to feed you. Get a skill. We told you, learn how to preserve your food. We told you, don't go to college and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for some worthless degree that you're not going to be able to get a job in when you get out. We told you, don't blame it on us because you screwed over your own life and you didn't listen because you thought you knew better than people who had been around the block a couple times. Don't blame us. Because here's a revelation for you. Those of us that worked our whole life, they're chipping away at our retirement. Okay? They're taking from us too. So we wouldn't have done this to ourselves, but we tried to tell you. We tried to teach you. You knew too much. You knew better than us. We were just old timers. We were this and that and the other. Suck it up, Buttercup. We tried to tell you. You ready to listen now? Are you ready to listen now? You're still mad because you won't be able to afford a house. There's other things that you can do. You better learn a skill and get rid of your diversity diploma or whatever the heck that you can't get a job in. Anyway, let me just they're gonna ban my video. Oh, I'm leaving. I gotta go. I gotta go. I have another meeting in 10 minutes. And hopefully I'll be calm by then. But listen, y'all, I ain't mad at nobody. Okay. I got kids that are Gen somethings or another. I don't know. They're in their 40s. And I try to tell them. I try to tell them. I try to tell them, listen, do not go to school, get into debt. You talking about economic slavery? You go to college and you get into hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt and can't even get a job. You have a degree and you got to go to Burger King to work and they're shutting Burger Kings down. What are you going to do then? You can't even work in your field because there are no jobs with this worthless degree that you have. It's hard enough to secure a job when you have a degree that is a skill because you get into this system that is so corrupt till a lot of people are leaving. There are lots of people that are leaving the medical community because it has gotten so corrupt and so perverted and just messed up. Excuse me, that people, doctors that have a very sensitive conscience feel like I can't do this. I can't work in this system that doesn't care if people die just because they want to keep their bottom dollar. They want to keep the bottom. I can't work in a system like this. I saw advertisements on YouTube of doctors saying, I didn't sign up for this. I did not sign up for this. I'm frustrated. I took an oath to do no harm. They want me to do this. They want me to be quiet about that. I can't do it. You got doctors in the UK, all over the world that are saying, I'm done. They're getting out of the medical profession because it is so corrupt that you don't even know who you can trust. You don't even know who you can trust. I had to threaten my doctor's job in a very nice way before she got her head out of her rectum and decided she was going to be a doctor to me. Okay? I had to send her a note on a government platform where I knew everybody had access to it and would see it, and say to her, if for some reason you are not willing to deal with my illness, just let me know and I'll take it from here. And guess what? Things went into overdrive. Her trying to get her job. Listen, you are your best advocate. I'm telling you, because they ain't all looking out for you. All right. I'm just trying to tell y'all. I'm trying to tell you. Anyhow. I just wanted to come on here because I had been sick, like I said, and I hadn't had a chance to talk to you guys. And thank you for everybody to come by. Please recommend the channel. Thank you, Constitutional Stacker. Thank you so much for that donation. I appreciate it. We have to keep blowing the trumpet, folks. I'm going to keep blowing the trumpet until they shut me down. They shut me down, I'm going over to Rumble. I got to figure out how to do it, but I'm going over to Rumble. And I have a channel on Rumble. I just don't hardly ever use it. But I don't know how to do a live thing on Rumble. I got to figure that out. But anyway, listen, I'm going to keep trying to help people. And the way that you can help people is to recommend my channel. Just do a thumbs up, do a comment, do some commentary. Tell me what you're seeing in your area when it comes to food and stuff like that. Write me. My email is in the description box. And anybody that has ever written me will tell you I have written them back, or I've spoken to them on the phone, or whatever. You know, if you leave me your phone number, I'll call you as long as you're in the country. Anywhere in the country is fine. I ain't calling you. You're out of the country. Unless you're in Canada. Then I'll call you. But I like communicating with people, and I try to help as many people as I can. But one way that you can help, if you feel like, well, I'm not eloquent enough to like really talk to anybody, recommend other people's channels. When you go to their channels and you watch their channels and you feel that the content or the information that they're bringing you is helpful or eye-opening, give them a thumbs up. It helps keep their channel relevant. It helps keep their channel in the forefront so that other people can find it and get the same information. And also share the channel with other people. It helps keep the channel alive, right? A lot of us, listen, YouTube doesn't pay me, okay? I've been on here for like years. They don't pay me to do this. This is my time and it's my dime. They don't pay me. So I'm doing what I do for love of God and love of country and love of people. And so that's all I ask you all to do, is to share the channel. If I said anything that helped you, just leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what it is I said, you know, that helped you. And also, I don't mind you leaving in the comments, because I do read them, what you want me to talk about. If I can get enough information about it, or I know anything about that subject, I'll talk about it. All right. We can talk about it. Anyhow, thank you guys. Constitutional Stacker, thank you so much for the donation. And I will see you guys the next time I come on. Thank you for bearing with me. I love you all. I appreciate you. I'm committed to you to tell you the truth as whatever truth I can find out there, what's going on. I will do my best to keep you in the loop about it and to try to help you weather this storm. We got to get through this. We got to get through this together, because they ain't coming to help us. Okay. All right, you guys. I love you. God love you. God bless you. Take care. And I'll see you the next time I come on. Stay busy.